call this meeting to order. I want to welcome everybody. This is the regular meeting of the Leonard Village Council. Today is November 12th, 2018. It's also Veterans Day, so I want to make sure that we all appreciate and extend our appreciation to our veterans for their service. Keep that in mind as we do the Pledge of Allegiance. So please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, we ask that you guide the decisions of this council, and may they be in the best interest of this village. In your name we pray. Amen.
Call roll for the attendance of the village council members.
President McDonald.
Here.
Mrs. Sotheby. Here. Mr. Amarante.
Here.
Mr. Hoffman.
Here.
Mr. Kennedy.
Here.
Note for the record that both Clerk Cindy Grosskopf and Treasurer Judy Burke are present. Council received the minutes of the October 8th regular meeting of the village council. Are there any questions, changes, or corrections? If none, motion to approve the minutes to be in order.
I move that we approve the minutes of the October 8th meeting.
I'll support.
Motion is to approve the minutes as presented. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Okay, moving on to the agenda. Council has before it an agenda for this evening. With your indulgence, I'd like to add under new business, Michigan Senate Bill 637, and also a drain item and a equipment item as well for the DPW. Are there any other changes, corrections? If not, a motion to approve the agenda as amended would be ordered.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll second it.
All in favor of the motion to approve the agenda as amended, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Council has before it the treasurer's report for the month of October. Are there any questions, changes, corrections? If none, motion to receive the following report would be ordered.
I'll make a motion to receive the treasurer's report as is.
There's a second.
I'll second. I'll support. We did, Paul.
Any questions on the
Paul
motion?
and Alex.
Hearing none, can we have a roll call for the treasurer's report, please?
Mrs. Sotheby.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
President McDonald.
Yes.
Mr. Amarante.
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy.
Yes.
Council has report of the accounts payable for the month of October. Is there any questions, changes, corrections on that? If none, a motion to pay the bills would be ordered.
I'd like to make a motion to pay the bills in the amount of $12,791.25 from general, $2,878.29 from major, 0 from local, and 0 from mill, parks, and rec.
I'll support.
Are there any questions on the motion or the report? Hearing none, we have a roll call to pay the bills for October.
President McDonald.
Yes.
Mrs. Sotheby.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mr. Amarante.
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy.
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to public comment. This is an opportunity for anyone to address the village council about any topic. We ask that you be brief and to the point, and also bear in mind that if your item for discussion is on the agenda, you'll have an opportunity to speak to it at that time as well. So Anybody care to address the council?
Do we know what the election turned out, or is that what trustee?
I was going to give that during the president's report, but I'm sure, we just
I didn't
found
see
out.
it on here.
We actually received the facts Saturday, so I just saw it today. So there were three write-in candidates. Jennifer Arundel had 47 votes. Jennifer Nicole Wisdom Swack had 39. And the third candidate had 5 votes. So both Jennifers were elected. So congratulations to them. You'll take office November 20th. So technically, unless there's a special meeting, the December meeting will be your first official meeting. Okay? All right. Anything else?
I know we had a meeting a while ago with the engineer for looking at sewers. And if we're serious about that, we should probably get a sewer committee rather than wait. I think you stated last month that we don't qualify for the 80% grant.
That's not what was stated.
That's what I heard you say.
You said we could get up to 80% for Devon, and that was inaccurate.
I didn't say we could, I said it's available. I didn't say.
Well, it's not, so, but anyway, go ahead.
Okay, well, I just think that we should at least have a committee to look into this. It's basically, if we wait too long, I'm afraid we may not get any grants of significance.
Anything else?
Mainly because the census of 2020 probably will change our income level. Not to the good.
And if they look at it now,
Yeah, I know.
almost on a yearly basis.
I know.
Okay.
All right, that's fine.
Anybody else? Okay. Moving on, we're going to move into a public hearing on the Village of Leonard Community Development Block Grant. So I'm asking for a motion at this time to close the regular meeting and open up the public hearing.
I make a motion, we close the regular meeting.
I support.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Show that as unanimous. Okay. At this time, we're being advised that we have the potential of up to $7,000 for the 2019 program year. We've also, because of changes in the income in the village, we've become ineligible to perform certain projects, including new sidewalks. So it looks like we're going to have to revisit that next year, or we can do it as early as December, and reprogram the money we have for that into something that we can actually use the money for. That being said, we can do sidewalk intersection work, which means putting in the 5-foot pathway at intersections and installing the handicap matting that people can feel, or the rumble strips, I guess you could say. And we have several intersections in the village that would qualify for that. So with that, we're going to consider any other projects that we may be eligible for if the public has any interest in bringing something forward. So that would be the public hearing portion of this.
What about other sidewalks that are broken up? Need repair, we can't do those?
No, those are ineligible for block grant.
Well, setting aside sidewalks, what is something that's eligible? What is something that is eligible?
Well, the intersection sidewalk work to be done. In the past, we've used it for a minor home repair program. social public service activities such as Oxford Addison Youth Assistance. Those are also eligible.
I know about protective barriers.
Yeah,
Stuff we did here.
we did quite a bit of work here at Rowland Hall several years ago, things like that.
So
The mill is not eligible. We did explore that, but it is not. So,
Is it possible to use any of this funding for the roof for Roland Hall? 'Cause I know we had a discussion previously that the roof was in bad shape.
yeah, that's a good point. I don't know if that qualifies.
Because it was like handicap doors and
Okay,
bathrooms.
sorry.
handicap.
Yep, no, misunderstood.
Basically, yeah, conversion.
So we can do one $7,000 project as like minor home repair or curbage, or two of the services like haven and youth assistance. We could split that in half and do 3,500 on each, or put 7,000 into a project.
I would feel like putting in all the intersections of those sidewalks, you have to do most of that.
You guys, we could reprogram some of the money that we haven't used from previous years.
Which we will have to do anyway, because we never had quite enough to do a significant sidewalk project. And so that money is still sitting idle.
I mean, the intersection's getting done alone just with it, that's a huge part of starting it anyway,
Right.
you know?
So what intersections would that happen to, like the side roads or?
Yeah, like, I think, North Street, down by the school, where it goes into the school parking lot.
Probably South Street and then Division on
right.
Rochester.
And technically, any intersection that has a sidewalk.
Okay, that has a side.
I mean, I think it would be an amazing start to getting some sidewalk fixtures, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
What about bike paths, are they?
No. Okay, is there any further comment?
Did we ever look into a bike path on the side of the highways, on the roads? A
Yeah,
bike
it's-
path?
it's not illegal, but it's considerably more expensive and not as safe. It's not recommended, and it's not a block.
Okay.
Is that able to be used at all on the Holly Ann Trail? Black Grant, is that separate? It would be nice if we could pave another little section of it. Yes.
Is there anything available for signage,
Oh, that would be.
street signs, stop signs?
I don't know.
I think so, because it's all income qualified. And we
Yeah.
don't have any grade spots for income qualified.
The village used to qualify 35 years ago for all kinds of local projects, drainage projects, sidewalk projects, etc. Over the years, because the income level has risen, they take away the geographic areas that are no longer considered low income. And those projects are no longer eligible, which is what basically has happened. So now we can only do kind of broad category things.
Do we have anybody that needs minor home repair right now?
Well,
I know a lot of them are, unfortunately, have passed away, but,
Well, we've helped younger folks too.
Okay.
Because it's not based on age.
Okay.
It's based on income. So we've helped several residents.
so is there anybody right now that needs that?
We have $8,000 already out there. We need to
For
use
my
up,
home
so.
repair?
Yes.
Okay.
So
Is that something that can also be used on the sidewalks as well?
it could be.
Are there any other programs that work with the home repair separate from this grant? I feel like the state has programs for that as well, don't they?
You're probably thinking of the TAP program through MDOT.
Yeah, there's a,
Yeah, we've applied for that twice with our road projects.
Okay.
And not been funded, but
Okay.
not for lack of trying. So,
I have a question. With
Yeah.
that minor home repair program that we have, if we have $8,000 sitting out there, does it have to be on the home? Could it not be the sidewalks in front of people's houses that get fixed?
I don't think
That's the
so.
only one we have to income qualify. So roofs, wells,
Okay, so nothing.
Probably, we can look into it, but most likely not.
You wouldn't think, because I
Not a
would
sidewalk.
think, if I fell on a sidewalk in front of your house, you're responsible for that.
Right, because-
Not the village, you.
Right.
So you'd think that would kind of be included
Well,
with the
no,
home.
actually, most of the sidewalks are on the right of way, on the
Yeah.
edge of the road right of way.
I feel like that's still your responsibility.
Well, I'm sure that it would be
Yeah.
lost regardless,
Yeah.
but, yeah.
I know other towns require their homeowners to fix their sidewalks.
Ours does
Public
too.
sidewalk.
It's in the books.
Well, that's what I'm saying, so why,
Right,
maybe
that's
look
why I
into
was-
using them to
That's
fix
what I
where
was
it's so
thinking.
bad.
Just a thought, just curious if
Yeah,
it's 50
well,
or not.
we can ask, but,
Well, sidewalks are out.
Yeah.
We back.
She's trying, right?
Okay, just curious.
okay.
Like private, not private, but like homeowner sidewalks, this section of the sidewalk.
Yeah, just
this
this
home.
portion of it.
Not a whole, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
like you're
know.
going halfway to their house or.
Yeah, if it was a private driveway or something, I have no idea. We'd have to find out. But if it's a public sidewalk, no, for public use, no.
Might make a difference if they were handicapped and needed, something of that sort. But,
Like a ramp for
exactly,
the road.
right.
When did the sidewalks be eliminated? Was that
That's this year,
this year?
because we considered doing it last year, so.
Does,
Comment?
does tree removal fall into that?
There is a tree removal, but it would have to be income qualified again. Everything that we're
Yeah.
gonna do would have to be income qualified.
Yeah, that would probably,
And we've done trees.
We have done trees.
I'm just wondering if we couldn't get some of the trees that are not doing well in the village taken care of with that.
this is one. Yeah, I'm not sure how that would be administered.
Yeah,
A
yeah,
lot of our trees are on right of ways.
Gotcha.
not Private property owners, so.
And as you guys make a decision, like, Oxford Access Youth Assistance obviously is an amazing program that helps so many kids. Like, who makes that decision, like, hey, let's split this. Let's give them this
Well,
much.
that's
So
why
that's why we're
Because I mean, I
discussing what you guys have to
Yeah,
say.
they're an amazing program that they do so much for the kids.
Well, you may not be aware of it.
We have money for them right now.
Yeah.
They have to income qualified.
So we have some on the books that we need to use up, but they're gonna take it away from us.
I mean, I would definitely want to see some go to that program.
Well, we've got it already allocated, but they haven't requested it because they apparently haven't gotten anyone that would be qualified to receive.
Oh, there's nobody that will qualify to use that money.
They have to be in the village and then can qualify,
They don't have to be in the village.
or Addison Township.
They have to be in.
So that money has to be used for the same purpose we would use it for, just on behalf of Oxford Addison Youth Assistance? It's not, in a sense, going into their,
Coffers?
Correct.
No.
It's
Okay.
based on individual.
And it's
You
to
know, we
provide
can do-
services.
Yeah.
We can
for
do
you.
driver's ed,
Camp,
camp,
but the people have to income
they
qualify.
have to have income qualified.
oh gosh, I would think there's a lot.
But there again, they have to want to do it.
Yeah, or they have to know about it.
They know, the counselor knows about it.
Okay.
What about elementary? Do they,
It's an age, there's an age.
Is there an age?
12?
No, they've changed that. You have to, there's an age from 13 to 18, and then you qualify them from 6 to 13. So there would have to be two separate programs.
I mean, I would guarantee you there'd be kids that couldn't afford to go to fifth grade camp at that school, and they would 100% qualify.
Well, I've
Stuff
talked,
like that, you
I've
know?
talked to Mr. McDivitt about it, so he knows it's out there.
And Judy is on the board for the Oxford Addison Youth
Yeah.
Assistance, so she's quite familiar with what's out there.
and they can't,
We want to spend the money, folks.
No, absolutely.
We wanna
No, I
get
know you do.
it- We want to get it and put it to good use. And-
I mean, if I were to ask him, hey, would you get a hold of Judy, are there any very, low
Right, and if
income
there is-
families that can't afford to do our camp, or can't afford to do this, or can't?
Well, we're capable of doing that right now.
Absolutely. if
Yeah, we
they-
have the money there. Drive training.
Right.
I mean,
it can't be anything like the Shadow of the Hero, or do you,
You can't make charitable donations.
Okay.
Technically.
It has to pay for something.
Something that's been approved.
I mean, I don't have a problem.
It could be for tutoring, if somebody couldn't afford tutoring, it would pay for tutoring for that individual.
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk to him tomorrow about that. There's so many low-income families.
We have 3,000 available.
And it has to be used by when?
Well, we just need to start
We just
using it.
need to use it because
The money, technically, the money is good for 3 years.
Okay.
After 3 years, the county says you either reprogram it or the county takes it back.
And it's 2016 money, so we need to use it or they're gonna wanna take it back.
Okay.
So,
I mean, I'm sure that there's families that could definitely benefit from it.
well, we'd be glad to hear it. And work-
Yeah, with, maybe through the PTO, you'll have better luck on this.
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely sit down and talk to him about it. It'll be this week.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, I'm going to ask for a motion to close the public hearing and open the regular meeting at this time.
I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing and reopen the regular meeting.
I'll second that.
Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of closing the public hearing and opening the regular meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Okay. Well, the first item on our agenda is the block grant application and the related authorizations that we have to make as a village in order to receive the block grant money. So the question now, council, is what program or programs are we going to look at for 2019 for funding? It's been suggested the sidewalk intersection handicap work. That was one thing. Minor home repair is eligible. We could put more money in that. Whether we spend it all in 3 years, hard to say. Sometimes it just takes one home that needs a well or.
How about if the next time we do a newsletter, you put something in there about that? There may be people that could use that, but they aren't aware that we have it.
It's actually been in most of the newsletters. So
Well, we have people coming and going, so.
we're due for a newsletter, for sure. Okay, council?
How much do we currently have in minor home repair?
We have that.
8,000?
I think we have 8,000.
$8,947.
Then how much do we have for in the youth?
3,000.
And then how much are we getting this year again?
They're guessing 7,000, but it won't be decided till.
We have paid already. Now those corners, with the handicap corners, do you have any idea what one would cost?
My understanding is that those rubber mats, one mat is about $400. So depending on the number of intersections, and at one point, Don was going to try and get an accurate count, but I think there's at least 5 out there that could be done right away. So that's $2,000 right there, plus the cost of labor and forming and cement.
Materials, yeah. Probably be another couple thousand.
Yeah.
At least. That's if we do it ourselves.
How about some benches through town? Mainstream of town.
You can't use it
Can't use it for that?
for general,
Has to do with income.
The things that qualify for minor home repair.
okay, council, as I indicated, we can always reprogram if we need to shift money. We'll be doing that probably in January anyway, but for this year, we need to give them a program and an amount, or program and amounts. So,
I guess my suggestion would be, why don't we put 2,500 towards the youth and the remainder towards,
Minimum 35. If you're gonna split
okay,
it.
it's gotta be minimum 35?
Well,
Okay.
if you split it, it has to go to 2 public service activities that are non-procurement related. So it'd have to be like Haven and Oxford. You couldn't do 3,500 into like the Purge. If you wanna
Okay.
do that, all
Okay.
7,000 would have to go.
Okay, I apologize.
Can I just get one quick clarification? They've already got the $3,000 though to spend, not including that $7,000.
Correct.
Okay.
well, two of the most active activities the village has done with block grant is minor home repair, tree removals, for generally, it has been for seniors because of the income qualification.
I guess I'm just confused as to why we would really consider the sidewalks and give that complaint every meeting. Not
Because
the intersection.
I think
That's
it's-
such a big start.
Right.
And it's a complaint that comes at every meeting. I hear it. I don't
Well,
really complain about it, but I hear it.
it's usually because of the state of deterioration for some of our sidewalks and
Right,
specific
no,
areas.
absolutely, but I just feel like that's just a start to continue, you know? I mean, I understand it's costly,
Yeah.
but you have $7,000 to work with.
Well, I don't think it would make the residents that are complaining the most happy that we're spending the money somewhere other than where it needs to be repaired. We have talked about, for the future budget, both the sewerage study and sidewalks. So those are definitely priority for budgeting, but we don't have the numbers yet for next year. Our budget doesn't start till, our new budget won't start till March, so. At this point,
Or is there any way to work that money into the park and make that something in the parks we have, handicap accessible?
that potentially would be, because it's handicapped, I'm not sure if it's for recreation.
Does it have to be for handicap? It has to be for handicap?
Yeah, generally.
What she
And
explained
it's a
to,
public property, so I'm not sure it would qualify. It would not qualify.
Okay, it would
Because
not qualify.
because the village no longer has low-income areas. In other words, for a long time, the whole village was income qualified so that we could do many, many things. We did road repairs, we did a lot of stuff. Now it's come down to only individuals are qualified to use the money. We can't use the money on public works per se.
she did explain that it is possible, but then you get to, it's a federal funding thing. And when you do that, then you have a lot more regulations than you will probably want to deal with. And that's why she said you wouldn't want to pursue it as far as the mill, because I read through the thing, we qualified. It's blighted, it's,
So that's a different program.
no, that was through community block grant.
Yeah, but that's, blight is considered,
Right, but she said that would be a federal thing at that point. And I would think the park might be the same sort of thing, because
well, it's not, it's public property, but it's not blighted.
Well, it's all right. She asked if that was blight, and that's why she was going that path. But the park's not.
okay. I guess I was thinking because they had handicap and all that, bathrooms, all that was listed in there. And so that, and when she said no, because it be federal, that's why I assumed that maybe the park would be the same.
Okay. We're burning midnight oil here.
All right, so what do you want from us?
A motion to authorize the use of the money. As Cindy explained, we could do public service projects, but that's all we could do. And we can only do one or two. If we do two, we have to split the money evenly for all intents and purposes.
So let's put it for that, because we can reprogram it further down the road if we have a need in the community, correct?
Right, but I'm afraid, I don't know, Haven would be in the same situation as youth assistance. If nobody's income qualified and nobody uses their services, we're not going to see that money move. So the sidewalk idea is definitely going to spend a lot of money when it finally gets going. And if we find something else again, with the reprogram.
How often have we touched the money for the youth programs?
We haven't.
Then I would say let's purpose it for the sidewalks for now. And if we find the need for
We can always.
people, we can repurpose it back the other way.
18,000 to
Yep.
Burbage.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, somebody would put that in the form of a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to allot the $7,000 or potential donation from Community Block Grant towards sidewalks. Or curbage, sorry.
I'll
Curbage.
support that.
And allow us to
And
fill
allow-
out the application and approve the conflict of interest certificate and
Yes.
the 2018 subrecipient agreement.
Yes. Next thing, you have to give me a cue card for that. Yes.
Keep going.
Et cetera.
I support.
Okay, all in support.
All
Any
the,
questions on the motion? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call for allocating the full amount of block grant funding for 2019 to curbage for the village streets and sidewalks, intersections.
Mrs. Sedley?
Yes.
President McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
yes.
Mr. Markey?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. All right. Item number 2, we had a request from a resident on East Street to ask for posting of signs for the hours for when there is no parking on East and Division Street. Apparently, they parked the car in one of the no parking areas and got a ticket and wanted to be able to park there on weekends or whatever.
You mean the resident themselves got a ticket?
Visitor to the
Oh,
resident.
okay.
Yeah, that was at our house.
And that's, I actually live there. I was a visitor.
Mr. Rowley?
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
I talked to Larry and Alex about it. I mean, it is, when school gets out, I mean, there's a lot of cars that park up and down there, but, I mean, I'm basically the only house on Full Street that has a no parking sign in front of it. And I get that during school hours, whatever, and in front of the school it's a fire lane. But, I mean, if either my car or his could park there, not during school hours.
Okay.
I don't know if that's something you guys can look into or what.
Well, that's what we would have to do. I'd have to
Okay.
refer this to the village engineer. They'd have to take a look at the regulations. And assuming that it's okay, we could post it for what would work the best, which is,
Don't you just do no parking?
I was gonna say, just that one spot though, I don't even know why you even need no parking there. It's all on this street, but just that one little tiny
well,
spot.
the problem
It's in
was that
front of his
people-
house.
Yeah, people had been parking in the driveway of the former residence. They didn't want people parking.
They blocked you in too.
Yeah,
You weren't there.
I have seen that.
Yeah.
I mean, the no parking driveway sign, that one.
Maybe have no parking during school hours.
Yeah, school hours would be good. I mean,
You could leave it that way too, because if there's a school event or something like that, the normal parking either even on a weekend, it could be the trunk or treat or anything
Well,
like
that
that.
wouldn't be school hours.
Well, the trouble is you can't get Oakland County to do anything about it.
Yeah.
90,000 people park up there illegally and they don't do it. They don't give tickets. That is true. I've seen them drive through and not even stop.
They have
They do get tickets,
Very
if you got one.
Yeah.
Very few.
They do get
Because I've seen them drive right through there and not even stop when people
I
are
guess
parked
the
all over the
question
place.
is, like your house being, 10 feet away, right there, why can you park there, but he can't park in front of him?
I made that a
It's not a
parking,
fire lane.
I made that a parking spot years ago.
Excuse me, Larry. We'll have to refer, if the council's in agreement to take a look at it, we'll refer it to the village engineer and see if technically, if it's legal to have a parking spot there that close to a fire zone,
Right.
whatever that is, and go from there. And if we can, we can post it for during school hours or not before or after, whatever. Then we can go ahead and do that. But it will be free, because we'll have to pay the engineer and we'll have to buy the signage, just so everybody knows going in that that's gonna, be the game. That's why I didn't do it on my own. Try to find out.
Well, the signs are perfectly clear, because the people used to park there, and they still do. And they block his driveway in. Thankfully, he don't come home till a little later, so he's okay.
That's not the point, it's the point that he wants to park in front of his house.
Or even if I can do something.
understand that.
Later in front of his house, I mean, he's
Make
got
a parking
kind of
spot.
spot.
I mean, you even got it says fire lane, they still park there.
Yeah, the tree's not in the way anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, the tree's gone. I mean,
Okay,
So-
all right, well, council,
I know.
just give me some direction here. You want me to proceed and have the engineers take a look at this, and then, if possible, order signage as requested?
That'd be fine.
Do that by motion?
I'd like to make a motion to authorize the village president to look into the parking authorizations for East and Division Street.
I'll second that.
But can I, like he just said, can he do like Larry did years ago and like his dad's got equipment and make parking spots there?
No, because there's that one thing up there that it's an antique and they stepped down on it years ago with horse and buggy.
Oh, I would never.
You'd have to move it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you know that too.
Yeah, I just remember that it's there.
Yeah.
And then it's.
No, I know you wouldn't take it up, but I mean, if they did something like that, you would have to try to move it.
Technically, it is part of the right-of-way for the road, so
Yeah.
it's not like on private property, so it would have to be done right. Let's put it
I
that
guess if you park there, and we'll probably do it, so.
Well, that's pretty much what's happening along that whole street.
Yeah.
It used to be grass and everything everywhere, now it's all bare on the sides. Okay, we've got a motion, is there support?
Larry supported.
I did.
Okay,
Yeah.
my bad. All in favor of the motion to authorize review by the engineers and the signage, if approved, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Okay, we're on our way.
I appreciate it.
Feel free to contact the village.
Okay. Yeah.
Things develop, and we'll let you know where we are.
Thank you.
I don't know how long it'll take for the engineers to schedule a visit.
I understand. It takes time. Thank you though.
Right. Resolution for transportation funding package for roads. Council will find two resolutions in their packet. Basically, the Michigan Municipal League sent us a letter telling us that under the new guidelines of MDOT, any road project $2 million or above has to have a resolution for local pavement warranty program, actually two resolutions. Otherwise, the community doesn't qualify for MDOT funding for any project. So even though our past projects have not amounted to that amount, we still need to pass the resolution. So unless the council wants them both read, I would ask that council waive the reading and approve the two motions to adopt a local pavement warranty program.
I think it's a good idea. And I personally don't think it needs to be read, but maybe people in the audience want it, I don't know.
Would folks like to hear it? It basically says that we adopt a warranty program. If a project's over $2 million, the contractor has to warrant the work for a specified period of time after 2018. So this program actually starts in 2019.
It has to be over $2 million.
And it has to be a minimum $2 million project for the requirement to have a warranty. And if you don't get a warranty, they won't fund it.
Yeah.
So even though we generally have gotten less money, twice we've gotten about $500,000 plus the money we spent, but none of them has reached that $2 million point. So that's what these resolutions basically affect. So I'll ask for a motion and a support for resolution number 1. Well, let's just say for both resolutions, as presented.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support.
Who supported?
In favor of the motions to adopt the resolutions for the transportation funding package for roads, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no.
Who supported it?
I think it was Paul.
Paul?
And then, moving on, trustee resolutions. We've already discussed we just completed an election cycle, and we have 2 new residents coming on board as village council members. But I thought it fitting for the village council to resolve motions of appreciation for the services of Paul Almiranti and Larry Hoffman. Larry, I'll start with Paul. He's got seniority. Paul's been a village trustee for 32 years. And Larry has been a trustee for 14 years.
Yeah.
So their service has been invaluable and much appreciated over that time. Serving on many different councils, with a lot of different people, so thank you for that.
Many of the trees that were planted because of Paul.
Yeah.
And our dark sky ordinance and the lighting was because of Paul. And we thank you.
Thank you.
No, you're welcome. And Larry has served as our street superintendent, I think almost from the day you were.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So it's not a huge job, but it's a job somebody has to be responsible for, and Larry's done that very capably. So we're appreciative of that as well. So I'm looking for a unanimous vote of approval by the village council to adopt these resolutions for the council. And I'll read them even though my voice is not very good. We hereby declare and resolve that whereas the Village of Leonard and its residents desire to recognize and express appreciation to trustee Paul Almiranti for his citizenship and involvement in the Village of Leonard Council as a village trustee. Whereas the Village of Leonard and the residents wish to recognize his contributions of service to the village in support of village activities, including service on committees for which he has volunteered his time and effort, and lend its support and encouragement to Mr. Almiranti upon his leaving office voluntarily for his continued health, happiness, and future endeavors. Therefore be it resolved that the Village Council for the Village of Leonard hereby recognizes and congratulates Village Trustee Paul Almiranti for his efforts on behalf of the residents of the Village of Leonard, and recognizes his many years as an active and involved citizen and representative of the Village of Leonard, and hereby declares and recognizes his service as a trustee for 32 years, commencing on March 13th, 1986, as well as accomplishments and service during that time to the Village of Leonard and its residents, and expresses a sincere thank you and best wishes for the future. So thank you, Paul. Mr. Hoffman?
Don't worry about it.
Ditto.
Don't worry about it. Sounds good to
Everybody
me.
knows Larry by one of either Larry or Harold. So
Yeah.
we recognize that he went by Larry, and that Larry has served as a trustee for 14 years since March 18th of 2004. And again, his many accomplishments and service to the village and its residents. So thank you and best wishes, Larry. All right, moving on. Oh, we should vote. Well, I'll make the motion for a unanimous vote of approval by the village council.
With regrets.
For that.
With regrets.
With regrets. Is there support?
I'll support.
Mr. Kennedy? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, unanimous. Thank you. Thank you, Paul. Thanks, Doug. Okay, this will be the last meeting, unless there was happened to be a special meeting, so appreciate it. Okay, the village received a note from the road commission and the county executive. There's a public bill the Michigan Senate Bill 637 that's been winding its way through the legislature that threatens to divert road agency and local municipality funding, of which we benefit, to subsidize multi-million-dollar telecommunications companies. Basically, the legislature, the Senate already has acted to add fees to the fee assessments to the money that flows to local communities through Act 51, which is gas tax money. And it would reduce the amount of money that every road commission and local community, village, anybody with DPW would receive. So that every time a resident, and I'm quoting them, every time a resident of Michigan fills up their gas tank or pays their vehicle registration fees, a small portion of that will be used to subsidize the telecommunication companies with their installation of towers and their communication systems. It also basically pays them to use public infrastructure. So I'm asking the village council to authorize the village president to write a letter of objection to the legislation to our representatives in the legislature in the state of Michigan. Is there a motion to that effect?
I so move.
Second.
All in favor of the motion to authorize the village president to write a letter of opposition to Senate Bill 637, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Okay. Okay, the next item was, the drains. We have a problem down by the school, and another problem here on Forest Street, where we're going to need to get a Vector truck in and power rod those areas.
Is that by yours too, in the corner?
We
The
have,
water?
Yeah, but it's because the drain's high.
Okay.
we have adequate funds, but due to the lateness of the year, and the chance of freezing, etc., I'd like to ask the council to authorize up to an amount in order to retain a contractor. We'll solicit bids. Last time, I think we were right around $2,000.
That's what I was thinking.
When we did the drains over on
Elmwood there, wasn't it?
Whitehead Street, Whitehead, and when we fixed that drain on north south.
Yep.
So, with the council's indulgence, we'll solicit 3 bids. I don't know how many we'll get. And then if you would authorize an up to amount so that we can go ahead and proceed and get that done.
Was that 2,000 for one drain? And you're asking for two?
No, that's generally for a day.
Oh, okay, all right.
6-hour day. So if we get those done, Don will keep moving them to other areas to do
Okay.
to suck it out, so. But I'd really prefer not to have to wait until December to try and get this done.
Okay.
So, I was thinking authorize up to $2,500.
Okay.
That's what I thought.
Don came to me with this last week. Okay, so is there a motion then to authorize
So ordered.
Mr. Hoffman?
I'll support.
Okay, can we have a roll call in?
I have a question.
Oh, yes, I'm
Is
sorry.
there any connection though between the roads that were just done and now all of a sudden these drains are, like, has anybody checked that?
Yeah, we asked. We talked to the village
Because it
engineer.
was like it never happened until our roads got done and now it floods at school.
Right, right.
There's gotta be something.
It may have been damaged before and it got worse with the road or whatever, but no, there's no warranty.
There's nothing set.
Right, yeah, it wasn't doing it until,
Half of the road was
I mean, right after the road
well,
got
it didn't do it in the spring though.
The one down by the school is always flooded up pretty good. Just it would go all the way up, all the way across in front of my house.
Yeah.
And then it would slowly drain down, but now it seems like it's taking a lot longer to drain.
Yeah.
So it may be just extra garbage has gotten in there.
Yeah, Don went down and
Coincidental.
tried to check into cleaning it out. He pumped it out And that's when he made the determination.
And then that one like across from your house, I think that drain's just,
The drain's here and the water's here.
Well, they put a cut in it though, didn't they?
I don't think so.
No.
They didn't fix
They
it.
were supposed to come back and do that. I don't think they did.
They did it.
I don't think so.
The engineer told me they did.
No, I don't think they did, because I never noticed
Should've gone
it.
down.
The problem has remained the same. I
Yeah.
cannot see a difference.
This is the first
I
I ever
haven't
know
seen the
that.
difference either.
Mrs. Sotheby?
Yes.
President McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Moranti?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yep.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Okay. Don also asked if the council would authorize obtaining the construction grade front bucket for the John Deere tractor. It has a quick attach setup on it, and we bought a large bucket to use for light debris and et cetera, but it's big, and when he fills it with to load salt or whatever, it gets a little shaky, even with extra weight on the back. So he wants to get a smaller, heavier duty bucket that we can use on the roads, et cetera. So he estimated about $2,000 for that attachment. And that would include the wear bars on the front. Those are actually add-on items.
You put weight on the back of it already, and it doesn't,
He's
tried it.
lower on it and tried to find other ways to pull it up. And I think it makes more sense. That bucket is so big.
It's too big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice in the summer when he's out scooping up sawdust and getting debris.
Yeah.
It's nice to be able to fill that thing up, but
Winter
he
time.
needs to, and he said the best price was actually from the dealer that we got the tractor from, so I'll have him get bids as well, but if council would authorize the purchase
Yep.
up
Yep.
to that amount, I think we could proceed with it.
Yep. I'll authorize it.
Mr.
City
Hunt?
Council?
Yes. Mr. Huffman made the motion, is there a second?
Yep.
I'll second.
Kennedy? We have a roll call on that, please. Any questions on the motion? None? Roll call, please.
Mr. Moranti?
Yes.
President McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mrs. Sotheby?
Yes.
Okay. We did have one, this is presidential, old business. Elmwood Street is, what is that?
I assume by Sam.
I apologize. We had a request from Leonard's Market to move the handicap parking area. I contacted the village attorney who responded briefly, and I'm going to read it because I think everybody has kind of an interest in knowing what was determined. Mr. McDonald, you asked if an existing handicap parking space on a public road in front of a business in the village can be relocated by the village at the adjacent property owner's request. The answer is yes, but there are conditions. And one of them is that even though the ADA Act was passed in 1990, regulations governing roadways and pedestrian routes have not yet been finalized. That's government. Draft guidelines are being followed by MDOT and other transportation departments. Following the draft guidelines is a recognized safe harbor for those seeking to comply with ADA requirements and to avoid being denied eligibility for federal funding for a local project. Mr. Atkinson spoke with a representative of the United States Access Board regarding the situation in Leonard. He referred Mr. Atkinson to Rule 214 of Part 1190 of the proposed guidelines, which requires one handicap parking space for each 25 marked or metered spaces on a given block. He advised that an existing handicap space could be moved provided it was immediately next to a ramp or access point to the sidewalk serving the business block. There are other conditions, but essentially we can meet that at that location. If the spots are moved further west, I think would be...
That's good news.
Yeah, I think that'll be in compliance. So he did send me the pertinent guidelines, and he suggested that if the village is inclined to grant the adjacent property owner's request, that all costs, including engineering costs, be at the property owner's expense. He spoke with a couple of engineers, and they do that work. So we do have a consulting engineer, so I could refer that to them as well to make sure that it gets done right. And Mr. Shalhoub wants to pay for it, because I don't know if we'd have to replace any of the signs, but we'd probably have to replace the decal that's on the road. I don't think that'll come back up, so.
Do you have an idea how much that would cost him?
At this point, I don't know. So I will, as far as that goes, as long as he meets what the engineer recommends, then if he wants to hire the contractor, with the understanding that the village has got the authority, then that would be fine too.
That's great.
Yeah. Okay. So the village will contact Mr. Shimon and let him know.
Would you let Don know that Mrs. Ferguson said her street needs grading?
Sure. I assume that's,
Yeah, Jan.
yeah.
What street?
It's not North Street, is it?
Whitehead.
Whitehead and,
It's not Whitehead. Whitehead goes
Yeah, Whitehead
Center?
and what's the other?
Center Street.
center.
I don't know which road she uses.
I think Center, but
I use both, I think.
I think, yeah, Center and,
I thought she used Forest.
she said what it is those tree cutters are bringing big trucks around there, and they're just making big ruts in the road, and she sees them all the time. So I don't know if somebody lives there that they're picking up. I don't know.
no,
But-
they do that, because they do that coming home, they do it on those streets, going to town, they do it on the, because
Right.
they swing around, they hit the store, and then they continue on. On their way home, they turn past my house,
Yep.
swing around, hit the store, and continue up.
Well, they're tearing up the street.
It's the normal,
Yeah,
everyday, I mean, it's not a big deal, it is what it is, but yeah, that's what they do every day.
yeah.
You know, I have to do a handicap too. There's no
Because they
parking.
can't park, yeah.
You know, there's no room to park there.
There is no parking,
No, not at all. I mean,
not in this town.
no.
Okay. Okay, so for the president's report then, I guess I should ask council, do you approve allowing that to be done?
Yes.
The handicap parking?
Yes.
Yes.
Could I get a motion?
I'll make a motion that we allow the handicap parking space to be moved
Second.
at the owner's expense.
Any questions?
Well,
Shout it. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
I,
Opposed, please say no.
Just one other thing for the DPW update. The stumps that Owen Tree Service was supposed to grind, did we have any contact with them to find out whether they're gonna come back and grind those stumps?
they did ours,
Did they?
so I'm assuming they did
And
Anson's
they
too.
did,
I didn't see it, so that's one
Yeah.
reason I wanted to ask.
Yeah, and then Don went out and got rid of the chips.
yeah, Don went up and cleaned it out.
Perfect, thank you.
Good point. Okay, president's report, we had one FOIA request, which was normal, I guess, or average. Council received, we did not receive any applications for block grant assistance this past month. There's no ordinance enforcement activity at this time. I did want to inform the council that our 5-year recreation plan is up for readoption, where I assume the council wants to proceed. And we have to have that plan in order to apply for grant money from the DNR for village projects. So I'm going to ask the Recreation Committee to move forward with that as well.
Okay.
And then, I think this is good news, everybody should be glad to hear this. Energex injection well permit that they were asking to inject natural gas into the ground in order to force oil. Basically, they were fracking.
Yep.
They've withdrawn their application, so that means that they're not going to be able to do it unless they reapply, and that would again start the hearing process. So that is really good news. So
Don't want that.
we just found that out late last week.
Okay.
Okay, we've already heard the election results, so we're good, I think. Welcome aboard. And then, finally, for me, we saw a great turnout yesterday for Christmas decorations. Thank you so much. Santa's helpers were out making candy canes out of telephone poles. And,
We're not done yet.
well,
We just got late.
it's wonderful to see, so thank you
We've
very
got
much.
5 more polls left.
Great. Okay, moving on to the trustee reports, summer festival, or trustee committee reports, summer festival committee.
We had a meeting last Thursday, and we've come up with a few more jobs to take some of the load off of other people, so they're not doing as many jobs. We have some new people that are coming in January. I'm hoping that I can just oversee this year and not do everything, and by next year, you know,
I saw your name on the whole Texas Hold'em list.
well, yeah. I would still help with that. And then one of the things that was brought up at the meeting, and this is just for the village council to think about, I wasn't privileged to be here for the Derby, which they held a couple weeks later because of rain. Everybody felt like it was nice to have it on a different day, like the following day, like festival on Saturday, Derby on Sunday. We're not going to do it this year. They're talking about for next year. If this year we're going to move it, we have it at 1 o'clock.
You mean 2019?
No.
2020 would be.
2020 would they would want to go.
Okay.
At least that's what they said. Now, they could change their mind, I don't know. You know, we have a lot of planning yet to do. We're gonna move it. We're not gonna do it at 1 o'clock this year. They want to do it like at 2 o'clock. Because at 1 o'clock, everything is setting up. And it's kind of a rush time. So they're gonna move it to like 2 or 3 o'clock. Their question to me was, what happens on insurance-wise if they do it the next day? So that's something to consider and to let us know.
Well, I know an event policy covers a weekend, correct?
Well, our umbrella policy covers this.
Yeah.
As long as there's no alcohol sales, as long as it's a village endorsed activity, it should not be a problem. The only problem would be mapping and closing the street on a different day.
Right. And that could be, if they decide to do that, we could contact you well in advance to have that done.
Right.
They felt like there was just a lot more attention. It looks like fun. I've never got to see it.
I think it'd be great to do it like at 5 o'clock when everything else shuts down. Like there's that little low area.
But then we have they can't get it done between 5 and 7. Yeah.
Well, it's not, you can't rule it out.
Right, okay.
It's definitely doable.
Right, yeah, and then the firemen that were at the meeting stated that, because this year, if it hadn't rained the day after the festival, and they had to, move it to another day, if it hadn't have rained, they had all kinds of ice cream sundaes that they had set aside, and they were gonna sell on Sunday at the Derby. And so they were kind of like, well, we'll do it again if you want to do it on the next day. So it's just an option they wanted me to bring up and check on the insurance and all that kind of stuff.
We'll definitely run it past the insurance, but I don't foresee that that's
Okay.
a problem.
Yeah, and then our next meeting is in January, and like I said, we're trying to farm some of this stuff out, and we're looking for a lot more volunteers. We do have other people coming.
Great.
And you're okay with your day?
Yeah.
Okay.
Put me on the spot here. No. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Texas Hold'em.
You said, in your thing, you said, call me if there's a problem.
Yeah.
I didn't have a problem. so-
I didn't. I just had somebody call me and tell me they're going out of town, so.
Okay. Cable Commission?
No meeting.
Okay. Decorating Committee, well, we've seen some of them work.
There's a bunch of them here.
Yeah. Anything we need to know?
I guess the tree lighting is gonna be on 30th, I understand, so.
November 30th? Okay.
Tree for the tree?
Honestly, it's not set for the 30th. I texted Kay and asked her if that day would work for her to approach the
You have
village.
to ask everybody first.
Yeah, to approach the village about that day.
Well, that would, get a calendar up here.
That would be
It's
a
a
Friday.
Friday instead of a Saturday, because if you look at that Saturday, you have the Oxford Christmas Parade is that day, the lighted Christmas, there's so much going on the first.
It really doesn't matter what day you put on it, it's not gonna be convenient for everybody.
Right.
You just have to set a date and then it's set, you know.
I mean, I know there's no parades on Friday night, there's a ton of them on Saturday.
Well, generally, we let the committee make that decision, but I don't, anybody have any objection to November 30th, Friday night?
I think it's much better than a Saturday.
I would think you'll get a better turnout.
All right. Let us know when you confirm it. As far as we're concerned, you know.
And I forgot to tell Michelle that American Tree up in Dryden, there's somebody in the process of trying to get a tree donated this year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Council, as we usually do, we generally authorize money for the Christmas tree to go and beyond their budget. And then our DPW sets it up. So any idea what the tree cost might be this year?
We're trying to donate it.
Well, if you can't though.
I don't know, we never go over $100.
I was gonna guess $100, yeah.
Okay. So can we have a motion then to authorize up to $100 for the purchase of the annual Christmas tree?
Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize up to $100 for the purchase of the Christmas tree this year.
I'll second it.
All those, I guess that's a roll call.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Moranti?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mrs. Sotheby?
Yes.
Okay. We got a tree either way. Great if it's donated, but if not, gotta have a
Yeah,
tree.
because somebody approached me when we were decorating yesterday, and she said she works there.
Oh,
And I said, great, and then she approached me today and said that she's already called.
oh, great.
So, if it happens, it happens.
Yeah, let us know. We'll definitely get a thank you off to them.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to the North Oakland Transportation Authority. They just adopted their new budget for next year. Everything's good. I think they're adding one route, or a partial route. So it looks good for us and for the village. Planning Commission. We're not able to get the public hearing notice for the master plan on time to have a November hearing. So I've spoken with the chairperson and she is recommending that we do it in January due to the Christmas holidays. So we're going to shoot for master plan approval or have the public hearing in January, and probably council will get it in February. And do we have a motion to cancel the planning commission meeting for November? Do we have one scheduled for December? Okay.
I'll make a motion to cancel the November and December Planning Commission meeting.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to cancel the November and December Planning Commission meetings, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Pollyant Trail Management Council, we signed our trail manager to a 2-year contract, gave her a slight raise in pay, but she's been doing a great job. So that's probably the biggest thing that's going on. It lends quite a measure of security to the trail to have that 2-year contract. Village Park, we have a meeting this Wednesday. Yes, I believe so.
Yep.
Here at the hall at 7.
I have a question about the park.
Yes.
Is there any, have you seen what they did down at the Addison Township Park with brick pavers and the little fire pit. I mean, it's beautiful, and I bet it's probably fairly inexpensive. Is that an option for us to do, just to draw people there and make use of that park?
Yeah,
I mean, they did such a nice job down there.
we put a fire ring there and it was stolen.
I mean,
So
this,
that's why-
this obviously couldn't be
Yeah.
stolen. It's
Right.
just really nice how they did that. And it would be really nice to have a draw like that down there. Something that,
It's certainly worthy of consideration.
I mean, is there funding for that?
Well, we generally, the budget isn't that big, like $300 or $400 a year, and that's basically for mowing the grass and, maintenance, so.
Are there any grants for that
Yeah.
type of stuff?
There's tree grants. I'd have to explore. I don't know that there's something like, there probably is, but we can find out.
How about a Veterans Memorial there?
Yeah.
That would be a beautiful
I mean,
thing,
that
I
would be
think.
really nice to
Yeah.
like even in the bricks up there.
Yeah, the one at the township is gas, natural gas,
Yeah.
which probably would be an option for us at this one, but
I mean, I just think it would be a really nice addition.
a center point, it would be like a center of
Yeah.
attractive.
It's quite a nice area that could be utilized.
Yeah, the park committee has prioritized also getting a small parking area there as well. In fact, I think that's the top priority right now is to try and get on-site parking for 2 or 3 cars. And then we can, once that's determined, we can consider a
I
different
mean, is there
area.
money to allocate out of the village to that parking or to that?
Well, it's a matter of priority.
Okay.
I think higher priority projects are the sidewalk repairs. That's alone quite expensive, and then, but certainly it will be a topic of discussion for the next budget. We'll be starting our budget process, actually, I'll give the council, Judy and I, will give the council an updated spreadsheet in December showing how much we've spent out of the current budget and where. The new council members will get a chance to familiarize themselves, and then we have to adopt the budget at our February meeting in order to have it available for March, which is our budget year starts, so January and February.
Finish my
busy
term.
doing that.
I have 2 years.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'd like to.
Community Development Block Grant, well, we pretty much covered that, but we did get the report. If there is no other business to come before the council, motion to adjourn.
I so moved.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
All right. And I'll second it.
I'll second that.
All in favor of the motion to adjourn?
Aye.
Thank you for attending.